Hello, everyone. So I would love to talk today about toxic masculinity, men's mental health, and what everyone gets wrong. So I would like to, first of all, say that I was inspired to make this video by one of the episodes of my favorite YouTube channels, Cinema Therapy. Shout out to Cinema Therapy, and specifically their episode about Fight Club. They had 2 episodes about the movie Fight Club. And this is, again, something I've been talking, I've made a few videos in the last few months about men's mental health and trauma, and trauma, again, specifically for men. And this really, I really loved the way that they approached this in their episodes. Again, if you don't know Cinema Therapy channel, and you love movies, you have to watch, like, they're amazing. So the conversations usually about toxic masculinity, and they completely miss the point, in my view, most of the time in our modern society. But we're getting there. We're actually getting better. We're getting better at it. So Fight Club, this movie, it became popular for a reason back in the days. Not because men want to be violent, but because many men are deeply lost, disconnected from themselves, and starving for deeper meaning and purpose. And no one is showing them how to deal with what they carry inside. So Fight Club understood that something was deeply wrong with men, but it misunderstood what the solution was, in my opinion. I know every woman has tasted the consequences of that misunderstanding, and I have lived them personally as well. So Fight Club nailed one thing. Men are deeply, deeply disconnected from themselves. The narrator isn't depressed because life is hard. He's depressed because his life has no meaning. It has no real initiation and no relationship to his own power. And the initiation for boys is something I am so passionate about, because we are so lacking real initiation for boys and girls in our society everywhere in the world. It's heartbreaking to me. And it is the basic thing that really can create a good, evolved men and woman, an adult men and women. And I feel like because we do not have actual real initiations that align with who we are, with our true power, then we are just a bunch of, children in adult bodies, all of us, men and women. It's hard for us to grow up, and it's hard for us to evolve from our shadows and our traumas, because we don't have the real initiation. And initiation is part of the human psyche. It's a deep part of the human psyche. And I know that this is why the dark forces and the systems, the shadow systems in this world, have completely taken out the real initiation, and instead they gave us these fake, disgusted, distorted, so-called initiations that are completely destroying our lives and who we are. So Fight Club isn't really about fighting. It's about unexpressed male pain. The narrator in the movie is a perfect example of a modern man, right? He's got a good job, he's functional, he's responsible, and he's completely dead inside. He's not weak, he's disconnected. He's disconnected from his anger, sexuality, his grief, and his power. So then we have the Tyler Durden appears, right? I'm hoping I'm saying that name correctly. Tyler, his shadow part basically, which is Brad Pitt. Tyler is not confident and he's not freedom, although that's what he pretends to be. Tyler is what happens when a man cuts himself off from conscious and calls it liberation. Do you see how this is the fake liberation of a man? Tyler is the shadow taking the wheel, basically. This is all my work in ceremonies, and when I work with couples and initiations, the God Men work and the Sex Priestess Initiation is, how can we face our real shadows and integrate them? And I mean, most people don't know how to work with the shadows. A real initiation cannot happen if you do not work with your shadows. And I am very confident in saying I am a master of working with people's shadows. So this movie doesn't say that men are dangerous. I want to be very clear about this. This is not what I see in this movie. It says that unintegrated men are dangerous. And that is very true. And we all know this. So I grew up with a father, and I spoke about this in again, a few of my videos this year, because I really wanted to open it up, because I feel like we really have to start talking about men's mental health. I grew up with a father who was mentally ill from war trauma. And I want to say something that is very clear. He wasn't a monster and he wasn't evil, although he acted like it. He was a man who lived through things that his nervous system could not digest in any way. And he was never taught how to process them or had the proper support. So the trauma didn't come out as, in a healthy way or didn't alchemize in a healthy way. It came out as a mood and anger, volatility and absence, is this emotional unpredictability mostly. And that's what happens to a lot of people in trauma, both men and women, because of the fragment itself. There's this Mr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sort of thing, right? Especially with men, because they really need to, their emotions are so suppressed in the back of their psyche. And for them also, they need to express it more physically, more roughly. And so it comes out a lot of anger and they can get very dangerous. So when men don't process trauma consciously, it doesn't disappear. It leaks into their home and especially to the people closest to them. Children learn to walk on eggshells next to these people, next to these men, or their partners learn to manage their emotional weather. Everyone adapts around the wound, right? So this is the real cost of be strong and don't talk and keep it to yourself. And I got this kind of macho attitude, especially when it comes to dealing with mental things. So later in my life, and again, this is something I opened up this year about, and I was very shameful. I felt very, very ashamed for it for so long. I had, again, because of the father wound, that I have done a lifetime of work on this. It's not, and this is why I want you to understand, there's nothing wrong with you. If you haven't fixed yourself, we can never fix ourselves. We are perfect the way we are. There's nothing to fix. Someone like me, I've literally done inner shadow work since I was 10. And I still attracted, in my 40s, I still attracted a monster who was like my father. So it's not because there's something wrong with me. It is because we attract these shadow parts in us that we have to alchemize and integrate. And there are many layers to these shadow parts. It's not just this is the shadow part and that's it. We put it in a box. No, we are multidimensional creatures. And working with the shadow part may take many, many layers. Okay? So again, I'm going back to my story. I was in a relationship with a man who had trauma also from war. He was this big shot in the army. He was, everyone loved him. He had a wife and a few children and he was, all these things. But he hid it. He hid the trauma for 15 years, even from his wife that he was married to her for 20 years. So he hid it from everyone. He didn't share it. He didn't get proper help. He self-medicated himself and he managed it alone, right? So, and slowly he changed. And I want to say something very, very important. I want you to listen to my sentence. This is important for everyone. Trauma kept in secrecy doesn't heal. It mutates. I'm going to repeat that. Trauma kept in secrecy, in secret, it does not heal. It mutates. So it becomes stronger. It becomes more dangerous and it can blow up any day. So because the shadow becomes even stronger and takes up more space and has time to integrate more into the persona, that's what happens. And that's exactly what happens in Fight Club. Tyler doesn't integrate. He doesn't slow down. He doesn't check himself. He escalates. What starts as a freedom, so-called freedom, becomes control. It becomes the shadow side of control. What starts as brotherhood becomes into a cult. What starts as expression becomes destruction. So that's not masculinity. That is trauma running the system, and it's very, very dangerous. Now, let's be precise. Toxic masculinity is not strength. It is strength without responsibility. The narrator at the beginning has a responsibility without strength. Tyler has strength without responsibility. Both are broken. Healthy masculinity is the integration of both. Here's the difference. A toxic man says, "This is just who I am. A healthy man says, this is what I feel and I choose how I act consciously. So a toxic man externalizes pain and a healthy man takes ownership of his inner world. A toxic man avoids help because of pride, and a healthy man seeks guidance because he understands power needs direction. That moment in the movie when the narrator says, I am responsible, that's the entire lesson. Now, men don't need to be contained like women do. They don't need to be cuddled. What they need is a purpose, a higher purpose than themselves. They need direction. They need true initiation, a healthy initiation. They need honest mirrors, especially from the feminine and other healthy brothers. They need structure and they need real fucking accountability. All right? So Fight Club is an example of a failed initiation because it gives men intensity without the wisdom. It gives them a ritual to do, but without the elders of the tribe. It gives them brotherhood without the ethics and kindness. And it gives them power without consequences. So that's why it collapses. And that's why, by the way, every system that is formed by a shadow masculine energy always collapses and always will. Men need training in how to be powerful without becoming destructive. And that's, again, a part of a healthy initiation. This is what, by the way, I guide men into in my God Men program. It is this one-of-a-kind initiation I've been doing for years with men, one-on-one. And again, it's I arrive into this initiation as a sister of the temple and someone who will cut you no slack at all as a man and guide you into your true power. There are no shortcuts. There's no BS. There's no spiritual bypassing with me. Like I am, I'm not going to take that. So this work is for men who are absolutely ready to embody their God, not even king, but their God. And it's only the beginning, obviously, because it's years of work. It's going to be a master of your entire lifetime. But I will give you the tools needed to start that journey. So if you're interested, go to my God Men program, and you have to book an interview that costs $50 if you're serious, and then we can take it from there. So if you're a man listening, here's what actually matters. First, stop handling trauma alone. That is not strength. That is actually stupid, and it's isolation, and it's not going to help you evolve and heal. Number 2, anger needs structure outlet. It doesn't need more chaos or domination. It needs structure and discipline. Something that grounds you instead of inflating you and your shadow and your ego even more, which is what most men do. They think that they're doing it right, but this is what they're doing. They're inflating and enhancing their shadow and their ego. Number 3, learn emotional language. If you can't name what you're feeling, you will act it out in an unhealthy way. So that's not spiritual, it's neurological, and it's also very childish. So if you want to grow up, take fucking ownership and grow up. Now, number 4, mental health and medication require transparency. Managing your mind in secret is actually very reckless and dangerous. It's not masculine, and it's definitely not mature or honorable. It is dangerous also for those around you. So be very, very mindful about that. Number 5 is repair. If you've hurt people in your process of trauma, own it. Own it 100%, not 99%. Own all of it. Apology, but real apology of owning everything, owning all of your shit, that's real strength. Consistency is strength. And staying present when it's uncomfortable is strength. That's a real man. A real man takes absolute 100% ownership over his actions and words and the damage that he caused other people. Many men can agree on this, but when it comes to actually doing it, the moment that they actually have to do it, they let their ego get stronger. And they don't, just don't be that person. Don't be that guy. Be a real good man. Don't be a nice guy. We don't need more nice guys. Nice guys are not good guys. Be a good man. And these are the kind of men that we need in our society right now. And for the women who love their man, and maybe your man is also going through something like that, I want to remind you something. You are not a men's therapist. You are not his emotional regulator. You are not meant to absorb undamaged trauma. That's not what you're here for, okay? You can love deeply and require responsibility. You can be compassionate and demand truth. And again, accountability. You can support growth without enabling destruction. That's not cold and that's not cruel. That's actually love, and that's very healthy. We are here to pull our men up into their true power. And for some men who want to stay in their boy phase, that seemed like we're too much and we're pushing them too much. Yes, we're pushing you to your greatest version, because that is my job as a conscious woman. I'm not talking about other women who just don't care about men and hate their men and just want to take and take and take. I'm talking about conscious women. When a conscious woman truly loves a man, she will never take his bullshit. She will never take less than what she knows he's capable of being, ever. And that's our job as a loving, conscious woman. Fight Club didn't become iconic because men want violence. It became iconic because men are starving for real, healthy guidance. The world doesn't need harder men. It doesn't need more dominance or control. It doesn't need more silence, truth, and embodiment of our truest nature. It needs men who can feel without collapsing, men who can hold power without abusing it, men who take responsibility for their inner world. That is maturity, and that's not weak. That is true power. And if this resonates with you, share it with a man that you care about. Not as an accusation, but as an invitation to his greatest power. Because the most dangerous thing isn't male strength. It's male pain with no place to go. Please subscribe, like, and share so I can continue making these videos and share the work of the temple. And may the goddess bless you all.